welcome back to my show. Today I have two guests. It's so amazing. It's like Mama and Dad apparently coming together spiritually with the magic of the bee. Long story, but they want to be a queen bee who brought the beautiful Greek beings together. Creature, being, we are creatures, we are beings, whatever, it's just a label. Oh my God, wake up. Lovely to have you here, Tammy. Lovely to have you back, Kath. So beautiful, it's amazing. Especially for this meeting about the truth. I so wanted to have your perception of it. What is truth to you? I start with Tammy because she's new here. Tammy, what is truth to you?
You know what? It's a really complicated question, isn't it? Because truth's different for everybody. So everyone has their own truth. You know, the truth is whatever I perceive it to be where I'm at.
Yeah. And how do you think define your perception in where you act? Where did you get it from? How did you get there where you act in the first place, if that makes any sense?
I think it just comes from experiences, doesn't it? Because we get knowledge and wisdom from experiences. So, and that's why it changes for me over time. The different things I experience adds information, changes information. What I thought might be right at one point, maybe I'll get some new experience or information. So that's going to change my truth.
And do you think there is a universal proof? Like like something, there's a truth, like this is just truth. There's no way out, no matter how you bend it and how many experiences, but there's one truth.
Well, I've mixed feelings on it, Gudrun, really, because if we're all beings in our own right and all have our own truth, there cannot be just one truth. But there are universal truths for sure, but I think the greatest truth is just to love one another.
Beautiful. And where does this love come from? How do we as beings? I mean, an example. Today I went for a walk and a dog passed by. And first she was all jumpy and nervous, and then all of a sudden she gave me a big hug, kissing me all over, right? And it is love, right? So animals love is something natural, right? Animals give you love, right?
Yeah.
And so where does love come from? Who invented love?
Well, it's the source energy, isn't it? Love in its purest, most divine form. That is the purest love. But then it stands to reason, therefore, it'd be in everything. Plants, dogs, people, yeah. Trees.
Beautiful. And where does source come from?
Sorry?
Where does source come from?
Oh, that's a longer conversation.
I'm a pain in the neck. I know I ask questions. I go down the rabbit hole.
I don't mind where it comes from, Gudrun. I just know. And I know it exists, and that's good enough.
And do you think God is God or God is God? Or both together, it's just a different word?
I think we just call it whatever we're comfortable with.
Beautiful. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. What about you, Kath? What's your perception of the truth?
I'm jumping on my chair. I'm jumping because I want to jump up and answer the question.
I can tell it.
But I'm trying, because Tam and I are both Geminis, we both tend to talk very quick and very bubbly. So I'm trying to be much more contained. First of all, each person has their own version of truth. And what we believed 100 years ago, quite categorically, we know now isn't right. What we believed 100 years ago, maybe a bit longer than, maybe 150, what we believed then, that it was right to use another person, to use them and keep them enslaved, we know now that that's the most awful truth We
However, we know.
However, we are learning and growing, and we are awakening up. So, I'm into the God bit. For me, God, source, goddess, universe, whatever we call it, we all have different versions of that God, same as we have different religions, but they are all bound together by love. So when I see people's truth, my truth has changed. I came into this world, into a Catholic upbringing, in an Irish Catholic house, which was not strict as in lots of ways, not as in punishment strict, but you don't need to be punished to have your mind molded in a certain way. And that has taken, I'm 66 next week, that's taken me nearly 60 years to unravel what I thought was truth. But Jesus said, the truth shall set you free. And I think that we're living in times now where it looks as if it's gone terribly wrong. It looks as if, oh my God, what kind of a world are we bringing our children in? There is war, there is famine, there is floods, there is corruption. What is the truth is we are seeing that now. And when we know better, we have to do better. So the truth comes as an individual. Think of this, Tam and I discussed this last night. If we wrote a 6 and a 9, the person standing on one end of the 6 would say it's a 6, it's definitely a 6. The person on the other side would say it's a 9. So truth is just where everybody is in that moment, but we're living in a world of huge distraction. So while we're distracted, we're like a mother at home, aren't we? We're trying to get the packed lunches done. We're trying to get the tea done. We're trying to get the uniforms done. We're trying to sort out the neighbours. We're trying to sort out the old man. We're trying to sort out the dogs. We're distracted by everything. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think if the world and the people in it could just take 5 minutes a day out of the busy day, I don't know how many seconds or minutes, but I know we've got 24 hours in a day. If we could take 5 minutes just to connect to the God that made them, not the man-made God, because that's the lie. And no matter how much you dress up a lie, it will always be a lie. And you can try, like a mum sometimes. I'm only using the analogy of a mum. But we try to teach our children. So sometimes we teach them in the way that we teach them. Sometimes we might teach them a little bit of fear. We might say, watch that policeman, he's going to get you. Well, never truer words said in jest. But we might say, they've got to go to school, they've got to do this, you've got to perform here. There's a thing, the whole thing about the truth will set us free. The church says, conform or you go to hell. That's not right. No child comes.
Do you think gays are tripping for hell?
No, I think hell is of your own making. I think you create your own world. We are all little universes in our own right. And we're all the middle of our universe. And so we should be. But we should be knowing so that we are all one. And what we do to ourselves, we do to others. So I don't think that there's a hell. There's not that's a fear. That's a man-made fear. God never said that. God for me is a God of love, and I'm God's kid, and I've come down here, and I don't think he's going to punish me for swearing when I go home. I think that same God is going to be understanding with me and help me to understand where I went wrong or what I should have done, or was there another way? But that same God will let me make my own mind up, as he has given, it has given me free will on this earth. But the truth is being uncovered. Now, there's a lot of people who don't want to talk about the truth. There's a lot of people who don't want to seem foolish. So back in the days when Galileo and Einstein and all these really clever men gave their versions of their truth as they saw it, as they see it now. There was a lot of people had to eat humble pie with lots of things. But some people in our world are so full of themselves, they're not giving in. That can't be right. That can't be right. So they'd sooner still stay foolish than open up to the truth that will set them free. And the truth is, everyone on this earth is a magnificent child of God. We are an energetic being. We are an electromagnetic being of light. But we think that we're just this body. We think we've got to obey everybody else. Stop obeying. I'm not obeying anybody.
But
I am
how
the
can
minister.
a lot of people say and I want both of you contribute to that. A lot of people say, okay, we are like all this light and we just energy and in going makes sense. A lot of people cannot understand how to live this in this world. You understand? How can you, because you look in the mirror, you see your face, your body, you got yourself, and, this is my body. I'm not floating around or anything. You know what I mean? So how do you explain to people to live at just energy or this life in order to live what you said, to be able to live it? One thing is like, okay, you like of God, but how can I live it? How can I access it? How can I really be this light?
I think, first of all, and I know Tammy might add to this, first of all, it's personal responsibility. It is nobody's fault. Nobody has done anything to me. I have learned whatever I've needed to learn. And if people have pressed my buttons, how blessed am I? Because they have learned me and I've come out of a darker place into a lighter place. Personal responsibility. Each of us has our light, but each of us has our shadow. And people don't want to talk about the shadow. And there's all this nonsense out there about spirituality. And if you're spiritual, you can't do bad things. If you're spiritual, you can't be mean to somebody. If you're we're all spirits. We are spirits, and we do mean things to people. And we have to take personal responsibility. I find at the end of the day, and probably Tam does the same, the end of the day, I have a little look back at what's happened and I see how I can learn, how I can grow from whatever. And I think you're rising and you know that you're loved and you know that you are loving when you don't react in the same way as you would have done when you were in your shadow self. And all of us on this earth now at this time are our shadows coming up. So if we have feelings, feel it to heal it. Feel whatever it is. You'll see all over the world now, truth is coming out. Very typical one at the moment with where we live with breakfast TV, and we're all being distracted by the goings on of breakfast TV and one man's relationship. But the truth is, it's all about the lie. All about the lie. And you can't hide a lie. And here's a big lie, good one. We say you can't hide the sun, the moon, or the truth. And then somebody will say, well, the sun will rise every day. The sun doesn't rise. The sun stays exactly where it is. It's not moved. It's the world that's turning. We say that the sky is blue, and we look out and it is blue. It's a beautiful blue day today, but the sky isn't blue. That's another kid. So with such fundamental lies we have been fed, and we just force fed all the time. And the truth will set you free when you stand in your own power and realize that you are a divine being. You are a sovereign being. Nobody can make you do anything. Very easy to coerce people to believe your truth if they're fearful or if they've got low energy. Just say, here's a little example. Just say you've got two gossipy women and they're talking about another woman. They've not invited that woman into the conversation. They're just talking about that woman and they're slagging that woman down and bringing that woman down. And then they're taking that words, those low vibrational words, that has to be their shadow self. Maybe they don't want to look at themselves, so they look at somebody else. Yeah. So I just think, for me, top of the list is personal responsibility. What about you, Tam? What do you think?
Oh, it's a big one. I mean, are you asking, Gudrun? I just check. Are you asking how we live in this world as light beings in a body as well?
Yeah.
I think for me, I've had some tough learning, some real tough learning. And, and for me, I knew none of us are from here, and I knew that since a small child. But I had a bit of tough learning, and it took me ages to just bring my spirit into my body and be here, properly present on the planet, knowing that there's work to do. And because we accept the body when we're born, because we choose it, but sometimes we have to accept the body as we grow. We grow with it. So for me, it's a bit like that, trying to be fully present with ourselves first, to be honest with our own selves first, and find our own light. Because if we can't do those things, how are we going to see it in anybody else anyway? How can we put it out into the world if we don't acknowledge that we have it?
And do you think, because you said we are not from here, No, coming up, I don't know, you both in England, so you know David Icke, right? Maybe rings a bell, right? No, and when I first saw him, I thought, yeah, maybe, in theory about the reptilians and everything, right? And aliens, But now you see more and more on Facebook, like Sticky in Antarctica and the aliens governed. And for a while, I've been thinking myself, it's like so much cruelty happening. This is not human being, right? This is, we are cruel to a certain extent as a human, including myself as a child. Maybe I smashed a frog against the wall or something, yeah? You experiment, you do silly things as a child, okay? But, I regret it for the rest of my life. But, I go wrong versus right. You learn as a child, and then obviously you're not cruel anymore. But those people, some of them, they go beyond comprehension in terms of cruelty to humans, to animals, to children, and etc. And I always wondered, are they human living, or can it be like some alien, shape-shifting alien who just don't have this love in them, this human love? Because, if there's an earthquake, everyone comes together and helps. This is human, yeah? There's a tragedy, and in the end, we help each other, right? And but those people, they don't care. It's like there's something missing.
Can I answer that, Gudrun? Can I just say, all of us live in a world where we feel as if we are very isolated. We don't really, we're not very open to what we do in the world and how it affects. We throw plastic down. We waste. We don't recycle. We don't look after our animals the way that we should look after our animals. We squeeze every last little bit of profit or money or energy out of anything, people included. You get the lovely lady that's working 60 hours a week. Her husband's probably working, her children are working, but she can't afford to feed herself and still using the food bank. So there are lots of ways to bring somebody down. But most of society thinks, because this is how we've been groomed, that I'm all right. If I'm all right, I'm only bothered about me. That's nothing to do with me. And we can think things are nothing to do with us across the other side of the world, but we are one. We are all one. And when we change our thoughts and when we change our thought patterns, we might not be able to go to the other side of the world. We might not be able to put banners up. We might not be able to protest. But what we can do is feel strong and feel solid within ourselves and send that healing and send that strength wherever it's needed. So Tam has a real passion for Palestine. And this week, God gifted us a beautiful gift, because we've got a ceremony coming up, a Thanksgiving ceremony for both of our birthdays. And this week, a lady knocked on my door this week. She's actually called Dawn, which is new day and early morning, and said, I've been clearing out the house, Kath, and I brought this for you. I wondered if it's any good. And it's just beautiful. So our Tam has a real passion for Palestine. This beautiful sacred box with sacred olive oil, sacred ground, earth, frankincense and holy water all comes from the Holy Land. All comes from the Holy Land. So we've got the soil of the Holy Land and the water of the Holy Land and the olive oil of the Holy Land and the frankincense of the Holy Land to do a ceremony. So I know, just as she knows, she is connected to all their pain and all their joy. So we are connected constantly. If we would only take 5 minutes, I think that's what's happening with society. We all believe in a God that's going to harm us, that's going to punish us. So it's almost like we're trying to get the best out of our life and have as many people as we can, because when we go home, we've got this thing that we say, well, it's like when you go to confession. If you confess, God will forgive everything. I'll be all right then. That's not true. We make hell of our own making here, just as we make heaven of our own making here.
In the Bible, is there anything about hell? I never read the Bible.
Right. Let me tell you, this week I've only just bought this yesterday. You won't see it. because it'll be back to front. But it's scientific facts in the Bible, and it's 100 reasons to believe the Bible is supernatural in origin. And I haven't got to any hell bits yet, but when I get to some hell bits, I think hell is a vibration, same as heaven is a vibration. So that vibration exists, and that vibration will be very collective, because energy connects and energy attracts. It's the law of attraction. So low vibrational energy will attract low vibrational energy, and high vibrational energy will attract exactly the same. So hell is a vibration, and it is real, and we can go places sometimes and just feel that. That's because we've recognized a vibration. It's not sitting with my vibration, it's not, you know, with whoever's vibration it is. And yet that's not putting it in a category, because you can go sometimes to the darkest of places, to the loneliest of places, and you can find hope and you can find joy, such as in Palestine. And you find that through the people that are so respectful, and so they're not argumentative and shouty. They're just beautiful divine beings of light, and they take whatever they take and always find the little bit of good with it, always find a bit of blessing. They're not like those ones that are always moaning because they've had to stand in the queue and this has gone up and that's gone up. And we're not like, I suppose, in a way, some people behave, I'm not sure whether you would know this, the Jeremy Kyle way, you know, bringing everything out into the open, slurring everything, slagging everything, entertaining the masses.
Wasn't it Jerry Springer?
Yeah, Jerry Springer was the first one, and then Jeremy Kyle. And then people get caught up in that toxic kind of energy, and they don't turn the telly off because they're interested. They want to know somebody else's bad luck. They want to know somebody else's bad manners. They want to see how the family dynamics, because it's not like my family. They think things like that, and yet that's a collective of all our families. We're all here. We all make mistakes. There's none of us perfect, but we're all making the mistakes and hoping, like you when you were younger, to try and make it better. And I think that's the learning on the earth plane. We're here to learn and to find the truth, and the truth will set us free. And we are finding the truth. The truth is here now, if we open our eyes to see the truth.
Now, Tammy, let me ask you, just out of interest, what's your connection to Palestine? If you want to share.
So I used to do a lot of campaigning work about Palestine and the struggle over there. So I got to know quite a lot of people and quite a few good friends that are actually in Palestine, because, you know, talking of the truth, what you see on the BBC or whatever your main channels are is very unlikely to tell you the truth, because what they want to do is they want to give you an idea that demonizes people, so that gives the support and the green light. Well, we're doing this because, but actually we have the internet age now, so we're able to go digging and finding a bit of our own truths as well. So that's how I got connected to Palestine and how I learned what was happening and the truth of what was happening. Because when you speak to people in the situation, there's no denying when they've got their camera and they're showing you the soldiers. And, you know, I don't want to go too deep into the whole thing, but again, we're being bombarded.
What your take? Do you think it get animal, no matter what I mean, it's such a complex conflict now already, you know, so many years. You know, it's like, do you think there's a solution to that?
Well, I'd have to say, I don't think it's complicated at all. You've got occupier and occupied.
I get very clear, but to take it out, I mean, in a sense, complex. The solution in terms of how can we, I mean, I found it really get separated to start with, yeah? Like you got the West Bank and the Gaza, it's like, kick alone, it's like, why would you do that, right? So that's my question. I mean, this is a created conflict, and we know who created it. The country we live in, and
but do you think it's really ironic that this is in the same land that all around the world they call it the Holy Land, and all around the world they're reading the Bible? It's like the most popular book in the world, and it's being accepted as complete truth. So in a land where apparently the biggest truth of all was ever written, there's so much untruth. And I think there's something really important in that, because we have to dig beneath all these facts and different ideas. And again, it's about finding truth, isn't it? And I love my Palestinian friends. I love them. But I also feel both sides need to look for their own truth. And if we're going to say that truth is love, and then we're going to be light beings in our bodies on the earth, we're going to have to do a bit better, everybody.
I think both. I think in a conflict like we have in here in the UK with Ireland, for example, or Scotland wants to go into battle. I mean, it's like the tension. I think what we have to do is go beyond government.
So here's another idea. We have big conflict, and we can see it because it comes out in wars. That's big conflict. But Mum always says, if we want to change something in the world, we also need to change it within ourselves. So we've got all these billions and billions of humans running around the world with their own inner conflict, not being truthful to themselves, perhaps not speaking their truth. It really does start with us. And if we all resolve our own conflicts and whatever else, it'll have a knock-on effect on other people. And I do believe, as cheesy as it sounds, I really believe that could work.
No, I think I totally agree. I think that if we find ourselves and the love in ourselves, that we need to reconnect. That's what I think. We need to say, okay, you are not a Palestinian, you're not Israeli, you are not African, you're not American, you're human.
But not just that.
I'm human. And we are for the same thing. Finish.
But also, you're not poor and you're not rich. You're not disabled, not able. Yeah, and just get back to humanity, because earlier, I just want to nip back to the David Icke thing quickly, because about being human, because when you mentioned earlier David Icke and the reptiles and the Arcturians and whatever else, I just think, for me, if I'm from somewhere else and I'm a reptile, that's okay. But we have to stop blaming otherworldly forces for the bad that we are collectively doing or manifesting here. Because we've had the devil. You've mentioned how we used to blame the devil for that, or the devil we do. Everything bad's the devil's fault, but everything good, God's done. So we're not good. God is good. But when we're bad, it's the devil. So we're never good enough either way. Personal responsibility. We can't keep blaming the reptilians from Alpha Centauri. We can't blame the Anakai. We can't blame God or the devil. We have to look at ourselves and not blame ourselves, but understand ourselves.
Wonderful. I love that. Kath, any final word?
If we want peace in our world, this is what Tam was saying before. If we want peace in our world, we'll have to have peace in our countries. If we want peace in our countries, we'll have to have peace in our towns. If we can have peace in our towns, we'll have to have peace in our streets. And if we want peace in our streets, we'll have to have peace in our homes. And if we want peace in our home, we have to find that peace within ourselves. So for me, it's all, I just see it as love coming together. The truth, a lot of people are going to be wobbled with certain truths that if they haven't recognised it already, that's fine. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But those of us that know the truth, those of us that see the truth, and the truth is we are all one. What we do to one, we do to all. So we have to become personal responsibility to help me, and asking for help all the time to be the best version that I can be. Because then everybody around me will be allowed to be the best version. Because you're grown, aren't you, by your environment? Or some people are grown beautifully despite their environment. Then I know that person's a very high soul.
Beautiful. Tom, any final word?
I think I'm going to recycle one of my mum's sayings, which is, it's really true. When one rises, we all rise, and that needs to be the focus in just lifting each other and ourselves. So we lift each other and ourselves, we get to a high vibration. And all that stuff might stop happening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, you beautiful lady. Thank you for your time. I so loved it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Tam. Thank you, Gudrun.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.